it is important for us to know who we are and where we come from and be able to make the decision to use Bajan or not. My household was not one where emotions were expressed outwardly a lot. You don't talk about love and sex and these things because, we work it out. We're strong. We work it out. It's starting to get emotional. Hey, God, give me a tissue. Imposter syndrome is a constant friend.
It's right in your back seat.
Yeah, man. The saying that Barbados is full of talent is not just words. It is very real. From finding out that I was pregnant to now, it has really been a roller coaster. And a lot of it has been terrible. But there was a period of time where I could not focus on anything creative at all. If you're a performer and you're looking for a partner, just make sure that they understand what you do. If I got half for me to hit and the rock is regular, whatever I gotta do, if I gotta squeeze my...
Welcome to Gems from Friends. This is where we have conversations with creators, entrepreneurs, young professionals, collecting stories of brands and people. Hopefully we can motivate and inspire and maybe even ignite the fire for others to start their own projects. I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay tuned. All right, so today the person that is in front of me is an artist, songwriter, author, recently a mom, Facebook comedian. Recently renewed her relationship with Sesame Street, apparently. How are you doing? Introduce yourself there, Mahalia.
It is Mahalia, MC from 2 Mile Hill, Mahalia's Corner, Visionisms. Yes. Good man, I cool, I blessed.
I want a long virgin. How are you?
I am good, like overall. The overarching thing is I am good, I am happy, I am grateful. I tired, me.
You tired?
I tired.
Your mom life got you.
Look, I am so tired. And to be honest, like before baby and all of that, I didn't have a great relationship with sleep anyway.
Right.
Like I was definitely an insomniac. So I used to be battling with being tired before, but not this hard tired, boy.
Yeah.
Not this hard tired.
Yeah. It's way different to when we first met. We met in shipping days.
Yeah, boy.
St. Lawrence Gap.
Baby days.
When it was Nexus.
It was infrared, actually.
Infrared.
When we met, yeah.
I forget what infrared.
Yes, sir.
So how many years it was infrared, or it was even reach a year, or?
Yeah, I think we were infrared for at least a year. I can't recall. You can't be asking me to think about remembering things from all back then. We know how to hold conversation.
I try to embarrass you on TV.
No, that ain't work. I used to be in front of people too often. I didn't know how to do so that swerve and move. You can't embarrass me.
I got you. Don't
But
stay.
no, yeah, look, I can't remember how long it was infrared. I also can't remember how long it was Nexus. I remember we changed to 2 Mile Hill in 2016, but I can't remember when we changed from infrared to Nexus.
Was it Nexus longer than 2 Mile Hill?
Was it just 2023 and we turned to Nexus in 2016? We first concert was in 2011. So when I can write out.
So guys, this is the end of the podcast because this is about remembering and telling her story, and she cannot.
But no,
remember.
just don't ask me like specific numbers and dates and thing, and we covered.
I got you. So when this whole music thing started for you?
I won't say from birth, like I've always been a musical person. My mother tells me stories about me before I could talk and things, just humming my own tunes and making up stuff. When I could mimic sound and say words and stuff, I would always sing the things I heard, ads on the radio, on TV, and songs on Radio Fusion. Yes, I am old enough for Radio Fusion. Yes. Old enough for Radio Fusion.
I don't know what that is though. Don't educate me on that.
My Radio Fusion was the best. It was like this one little speaker looking thing that used to hang on the wall. It had one knob. So the knobs where it's on and then the volume up, volume down, off. You had the tuner bands, you had the FM, AM, on or off. Yeah. And it used to play constantly, BBC, music, all these other things, news, weather. So it was just on all the time. So I always had music in the house constantly. So I would always sing along with whatever I could remember. Even the theme songs from the news and thing.
Really?
From BBC News. Yeah, man. All the things. So it was clear that I was drawn to music. I was drawn to melody and rhythm and that sort of thing. So From inception, music and me was tight.
Nice. So when you can remember what age you were when Infrared began?
I think that we started infrared when we were in UE, so I want to say 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And that was like not really serious. We was like, we can be musicians professionally. It was like, we like music, that we get together and jam some songs that we like, because we were all at UE doing things that were not related to the arts in any way.
Right.
So it's like this sign that we got, that we want to be able to have a relationship with. Let me find some time.
Yeah, and that was your outlet.
Yeah, that was the outlet. So
Everybody went to UE? Everybody was there
at the
together?
time, our drummer, Andre Ford, he wasn't at UE.
Right.
He was a teacher. He was teaching at St. James Secondary at the time and teaching music. But the rest of us, we were all at UE. Yeah.
What do you think made y'all different when y'all first came on the scene?
I never thought of us as being different. I just feel like we were the youngest band at the time. We were the youngest band because obviously they had Strategy, and before Strategy they would have had the like Second Avenues and 40 Peoples and them sort of
And
people.
then Blaze, I think Blaze was before Strategy.
Exactly. So they had bands out there, but I don't think anybody was as young as we were. So
Right.
we now come out on the scene, these little upstarts, like, yeah, we here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Sound stink, but we here.
I wouldn't say it's on state.
We didn't sound great. We had a ways to go, but we had the ambition and we had the enthusiasm for it.
Right.
It's something that we really wanted. We were hungry for it. So whatever it is we would have had to do to get where we needed to get to, we were ready to do that. But we was ready now. Let me go and do something now.
I felt like y'all were different because the other bands would have been playing a lot of like soca and like reggae and that kind of thing, and y'all were different. Y'all
We was
came
playing
with
different music, you mean?
Yeah, like R&B, y'all style and everything was completely different.
I think maybe that was because at the time, like you said, we were some young upstarts, and we weren't the people in the band were not like soca people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we hadn't yet been on the scene long enough for people to drill into us. When I gotta play some soca, and I know that maybe the bands that were out there at the time were out there for such a period of time that people would have already get to them and say, "When I gotta play some soca," even if they weren't really soca people. But if you think about 40 people for a play, they really didn't play
True.
soca either.
Yeah.
So they were kind of a role model for us. And Second Avenue too. There were a few bands out there that were not playing soca, but I know that them here still. When I should play some soca, we in Barbados when I should play some soca, because we definitely got it over time. More and more people would say, because we playing in the nightclubs, right?
Yeah.
That was the scene. If you was a band, you was playing in hotels or nightclubs.
Or nightclubs, yeah.
If you're playing in the nightclubs, you gotta play something for everybody. And some people get want to hear soca, so you gotta play some soca.
So when you came out of UE, you just went straight in on the music scene. You had any jobs in between there that was outside of music?
Yeah, man. I had a couple little jobs here and there, like secretary work. I used to work at a dry cleaning business, that sort of thing. But nothing established, because I was real job averse. I was 9 to 5 averse before before I even decided to be a musician. And my degree at UE was computer science.
Okay.
And even though that sounds like you would leave school and go into a 9 to 5 job, there was a lot of opportunity for different types of work that wouldn't require me to go and sit down behind a desk from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening. So I was already like plotting my escape from the cubicle life.
Yeah. So you had any fear when you first give up your 9 to 5? You had any fear at that time, or you were just like super confident that, yeah, this is it, and then looking back?
I don't know if to call it fear, but yes, there was. It wasn't like there was apprehension, because one, in Barbados at the time, like no one was really encouraging you to get into the arts when we started. It was always like, you really need a job. You need a real job. And then a real job. And actually who we were seeing ahead of us, quite a few musicians all had jobs, and music was the thing that they did after their job. So when we decided we're gonna go music full time, this is after most of us, if not all of us, did try having jobs and doing music. And what you notice is that both things suffer, and music usually suffers more. And music is the thing that we want to do, so that ain't
Exactly.
making no
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
So even though it was a scary decision to make, because it's like, all right, now we gotta try to find a way to live and offer this thing. It was like, all right, well, if the choice gotta be working and music suffering or doing music, and we, struggling musician life, it gotta be music, and we can struggle till we ain't struggling anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a tough one because when you're starving, you're still not. Your mind is not totally there to perform or to write music or to be in it as
Yeah.
much as you want. So it's like a
And
trade-off.
the thing, I think that is one of the benefits of being in a band is that you have other people there going through what you're going through right next to you, and you ain't there but yourself as a solo artist, like
yeah. There's a
struggling
team.
physically and
Yeah.
mentally. Like you got people to lean on, people to like bounce ideas off of how we can get food next week, that sort of thing. So the band life was definitely the right decision for me personally.
So who was your motivation?
Enough people, man. Like people foreign and domestic. So we did get a lot of encouragement from. We were fortunate, most of us, to have families who were supportive.
Okay.
So first of all, so that would give you the starting point to feel like, all right, I can go for this, and you don't have somebody like tearing you down all the time. But then people like Philip Forrester, who actually took us in and gave us a space to rehearse, and
Wow.
a lot of
Shout out to
advice, and then by extension Tony Norval, people like Alan Shepard, who provided a recording studio for us to record like Gossip Girl, and then a space to perform, Bump and Wine. And so there were a lot of people. Shout out to Andrew Daniel, who was our first manager, who actually saw the vision that we could achieve something. He's the first person to push us into playing, like from playing just together and having fun to when I could go and perform, like y'all have the ability to do this. So there were a lot of people, there's too many people to call names over the years that motivated us and encouraged us and reassured us that we had the capability,
So there was definitely something special about y'all that y'all stood out to these people.
Yeah.
And these people wanted to reach out and
Yeah.
help.
It's clear that was the case.
Why did the name change though from Next Six to My Hill?
Whenever people ask that, I just tell them to spell Next Six. Spell Next Six, Matthew.
NEXCYX?
Yes, actually, you're one of maybe 10 people that get that right. But I ain't even exaggerating. Like, people always spell Next Six wrong, even in the media. So even though we performing, I must have said the name on stage 16 times during the set.
Right.
But by the time we see the article in the newspaper or somebody just right after we get off the stage, they say, so how you spell the name again? And then they go, so you trying to find us online, and you typing in all kind of madness, and you can't find the band. So like, it just made sense to change the name to something that was easier for people to find, especially. So we gone as a band now to France in 2012. France with French people that speaking French.
Right.
So I know God try to communicate the band name to these people that don't speak English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that spelling is not even like the correct English.
There you go. It's not even an English word. It's not even a word.
It's not even a word.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just causing problems for people to find the band. And as much as Bajans love it, Bajans I love one, because I got people to this day that still be like, Next Six in my heart. And I love them, but
Because we don't like to change.
but at the end of the day, we still needed to get people to be able to find the band, to bring them into the fold. And you can't find us if you can't remember how to spell the name.
And it made sense. And then too, it brings homage to where you're from too.
Exactly. So that's where the name came from. We actually deliberated very, very long on what we would change the name to, and we decided early that it would be something Bajan, something about Barbados. So we was trying out bare names, bare Bajan words, bare places in Barbados, all kind of thing, Rockstone, all kind of thing. to see what
Rock
made
star.
sense. And we actually cycled around 2 Mile Hill several times before it was like, you know what, it's 2 Mile Hill. It keep coming back, it's 2 Mile Hill. And then at the end of the day, Laracore is 2 Mile Hill, Bussa at the top of 2 Mile Hill. All of these things that we could talk about, you know, when people say, so why 2 Mile Hill? Then that's like talking points about home, you know.
Correct. It's good though. I like it. So the hardest highlight, this main highlight in your life when you got to sing the anthem, the national anthem at the next game, Barclays Center, was it at?
Yeah, Barclays Center, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what was your emotions when you realized that this is happening?
All the emotions. All. Like, it starts with disbelief though. Like, it was a surreal feeling because you know it happening. Yeah, on the plane, even being there, even going to Barclays Center in the car is just like this. Actually, like really, this really happening.
Yeah, let me wake up.
And then like at the same time, then because my anxiety was through the roof too. Like performance anxiety, just anxiety in general. Because anxiety is something that I deal with too.
Right.
Like so, I had to like really double down on staying centered and
Right.
being excited in a positive way and not anxious in a negative way. So that was the struggle for me. And again, having the band there was very paramount for me because if I had a good day by myself,
Right. So you had that
and I didn't play
support
by
too.
myself, yeah. So like I probably would have melted all the way down if I was by myself. So having the band there was very important for me to just be able to look across and see the man and be like, all right, we level, we straight. This and I do all the time. I sing for a living, you know, we can be good. I can be good. But yeah, the excitement was real. The just having been chosen to do it, because I think the person that did it before me was Alison Hines.
Right.
Actually, it's Alison Hines.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So having been
Got
chosen
big
to do
shoes
it,
to fill there.
yeah, it actually filled me with a lot of pride to be able to go up there. The only thing that would have made me prouder is if I was gonna do to sing the Barbados anthem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was great to be able to go and represent the country in that capacity.
Yeah.
And make Barbados proud.
So while you're going through these emotions, you had any voices of imposter syndrome creeping in at any point? Like, why am I here? Right? Anything like that started creeping?
Imposter syndrome is a constant friend.
Right.
Constant friend.
Just right in the back seat.
Yeah, man. It's always there. Sometimes it's just louder and softer. So when the imposter syndrome was the loudest before I left here though. Before I left here, when I think it's Andre, I was like, all right, so you can sing the anthem at the thing. And I was like, pardon? And in the back of my head, it's just be like, these people know that I'm a fraud, though. Like, I'm a fraud. Like, they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. I get in there and I used to get to no music, a cappella. So singing, like, that voice was loud. And because we were able to, like, I would go by him and just go through it and sing through it and decide, all right, we can sing it this way.
Right.
And just make sure that I was as comfortable as I could be. So that voice don't overpower the voice of, well, Mahalia, this is who you are, you know? So the battle was happening, but as we got closer to it and the more I was able to just run through it and practice it, record it, look back at it, you want to change anything, blah, 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 then you know, that voice got softer and softer and softer. And then the stage fright, the nerves, that's what took over from there. The imposter syndrome was gone after that.
So when you started to sing, do you hear any other things going on in your head, or you were completely just focused on what you had to do?
Right in the very beginning, when I started to sing, like I said, I sing it a cappella. So when I first started, I was like, I singing this in the right key? That was the first thing that came in my head. And by the time I get to By the Dawn's Early Light, I was like, well, whether or not is the right key, we going down the road from here. And whatever God happen for me to hear, and the rock is regular. Whatever I gotta do, if I gotta squeeze my... whatever gonna happen, it happening because this is the key that I start in. I didn't know if it's the right key or not, but
right.
we going down the road from here. But after that first initial thing, it was just like, just feel the notes and enjoy it as much as you can until the end.
That's really cool, man. It was really good to hear you explain Because I always wonder about that, because it was like, that's such a big moment.
Is bigger than you think it is. Like you think it's a big moment because you know what it is and you know where it is and what's happening and all these things. But when you are there physically, even at the sound check, because there was a small sound check earlier in the evening before the game, and I was standing up on the court and these monstrous men felt like they were stepping over my head. So I used to watch basketball. You could see, and you know how tall basketballers are. You see that they're tall on the court, on the TV. But in real life, when you are in the middle of the court, and the men warming up, and the ball passing you, and them legs and knees passing my ears, like it now makes me feel even smaller, you know, this is a gigantic thing that's happening in a gigantic space. So it just felt even more momentous than, you know, initially thinking about it.
Yeah. So you have a way with words. So much that, and Bajan words, so much that you wrote a book. Tell me about that. Like, how you came up with that concept.
Well,
and why.
I ain't even know how to say it. It sprang into being for me, but I've always been in love with Bajan because I grew up in a house full of people with my grandmother, my great grandmother, my mother, and then like extended family. And my grandmother and my great grandmother was real Bajan, like real Bajan. So like I would hear them talking in Bajan. I hear like all these sayings and the words, and I would go sometimes ask or wonder what this word mean, right? Or what this thing mean. And I just have grown up in that space, and it just like marinate through me. So it just feels like a part of my identity. And then I also had a dad who was so against talking in Bajan. He was in the British Army. He was like a real proper gentleman. He was a police officer.
So he was speaking the Queen's English.
Yes. He was speaking the Queen's English, or what he used to like to call proper English.
Yeah.
And I used to be real upset, like, growing up, because every time I say something in Bajan, he would want, like, quarrel and carry on. You can talk like that if you go and meet the Queen. You can write down your exams, all kind of thing, right? And I just to be like, but ain't really this serious, though? Like, he used to be real upset. He used to try to get me to stop saying things in Bajan and talking in Bajan. And I could have been somebody who just took that, you know, and just turned away from it. But I couldn't understand why it was such a shameful thing, or something that indicated that you had a lesser intellect or anything. And it was just like, I ain't gonna talk in Bajan though. You can be upset, but I ain't gonna do it. So I've never turned away from it. And the more and more I grew up, hearing other people, mostly old people, I just fell more and more in love with it. And then I lost my gran and my great gran and my dad and all these people. And it just felt like something important to hold on to. Because now they're gone. I can't hear them talk anymore. I'm starting to get emotional. And
my condolences, by the way.
Thanks. And it just felt like something that I needed to hold on to. You know? Yeah.
So that you use that as a way to kind of keep their memory alive, as a tribute to them.
Exactly. So then when I noticed I started hearing a lot more. And realizing, well, yeah, but I feel like only Bajans say this. You know what I mean? Yeah, and God give me a tissue. I feel like only Bajans say this. And then I would post it and be like, anybody else has said such and such and such. And then like a barrage of people in the comments saying, oh, no, I think that's only Bajans. And then somebody would be like, no, I think St. Lucians will say this or whatever. So then it started a conversation. And the more people started to engage with me, the more I was noticing more and feeling it more, and even noticing like other people here and there posting things like Basel Magazine and these other people, and it was like it just got so much more tangible as something that was important.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Important, because I was noticing before that I wouldn't really be hearing a lot of younger people, like people my age and stuff, using a lot of Bajan. And I would still be hearing older people acting as though speaking in Bajan is something to be frowned upon.
Right.
So I really couldn't live without it. I wasn't without life. It was like, this is we culture, and it could easily disappear. It is verbal. It is intangible. So if people stop speaking, it can just go on with business, you know?
Yeah. So your family, if they were still alive, it was your grandmother and your great-grand. and you put this book out, what do you think their response would be?
I think that they would be really proud of me, first of all. But the personalities are such that they'll be like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's sort of not over the top rejoicing or anything.
But that's a real bitch.
Exactly.
It takes so much to move them.
Yeah. But like inside them, just like, great job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the outside, they would be like, oh, yeah, okay, this is nice, flipping through it. But that's how I feel it would be. But I know that they would have been happy about it.
I want to talk about that a little bit because people struggle with it. Where there's a generation of parents who do not give their children feedback or the necessary feedback that is needed for the jobs that they're doing. And you got, like, what's your opinion on that? What do you think might be the cause of that? Is it like a lack of like expression, or they just don't have the tools to like?
I blame colonialism.
Okay.
I think there are so many things that have been left over from colonial times being colonized by Britain specifically. Because if you really look at British people, a lot of the characteristics are similar in that sort of thing from the olden days, not being very, you got to be very proper and very, appropriate. They're appropriate times for things and ways to say things and ways to do things, and you don't do this and you don't do that. And I think that over the time, that's just kind of been left over in our DNA from back then. And is something that's very difficult to change unless we kind of have some kind of widespread change in the world. And I think it's happening. I think it is happening now, especially with people in our generation and going forward, that is not the case anymore. But I can say from my experience that my household was not one where emotions were expressed outwardly a lot.
Right.
And conversations about feelings and thoughts and that sort of stuff was not something that was done, because you don't do it. You don't do it. You get like, you got an issue, work it out. Pull up your socks and work it out. You are a strong person. And then, so it's twofold. Characteristics from British colonialism and also the overcompensation of being a strong Barbadian, Caribbean black person or whoever, So like, combine these two things. You gotta be strong, so you gotta like hold on to your feelings and keep yourself whatever. Like, you don't talk about mental health and you don't talk about love and sex and these things because we work it out. We're strong. We work it out, and then also it's not appropriate at the same time.
I think that's valid. And your book also contributes to going against that.
Yes, man. I think
and started a movement.
I really think it is important. Like I said before, and I actually was able to donate one of the books to my alma mater, St. Michael's School, because I feel that is something that we should learn in school. I think that we should learn Bajan specifically in school because it is important for us to know who we are and where we come from and be able to make the decision to use Bajan or not in whatever, situations we are in, and not just be in a situation, like being in life, just feeling like, well, I can only talk Bajan in secret with my friends or whatever the case is because I can't talk Bajan in front of the PM, who is taught Bajan, by the way. That sort of thing, and she is such an inspiration to me, like, just seeing her on the podiums in her official capacity, talking Bajan. You know what I mean? Yeah, because she is a Bajan. Yeah. We are Bajans. And this is our identity, is a part of our identity.
Rihanna does it as well, too.
Yes, exactly.
She ain't lose the accent yet.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And that is important. That's important. She has the whole world's eyes on her. But she's one person. As big as she is, she's one person. And everybody in the world isn't going to see her. And everybody in Barbados isn't going to see her one doing that and be like, yeah, it is the way to go.
So it got to be a movement.
It has to be a movement. Yeah. It has to be a movement. And that's why I felt the book was important, because not only being able to get around here on the rock, but being able to get out to the diaspora, Bajans that don't live here anymore, or, second generation Bajans that born over there or whatever the case is. And then tourists and friends, international friends that you could introduce the language to.
Yeah, and they get to feel connected with their identity.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I want to give you your flowers for the book. Because they're lyrics to you. You're not just a performer on stage, whining or singing, but you actually got like substance where you start hitting a movement. I think it's very important.
Yeah, thank you.
Flowers
Thanks.
for that.
I
So
appreciate it.
so talk about lyrics. You're also a event producer.
That was
Mahalia's
reluctant.
Corner.
I'm a reluctant event producer. But it
Mahalia's
was
Corner,
reluctant.
which is not even a corner anymore, because that get big. Well, you started it.
That was the idea to show off some of my layers. Exactly.
Right.
Between Andre and Andre Blackman Chan. I think we had just recorded Gossip Girl when Alan Shepard's studio was at Bump and Wine, and he had the idea.
He had a studio. I know it was a bar and a restaurant.
He
Or
had a
is it also
studio in the back.
too?
Yeah, had a
Okay.
studio in the back. And Andre was like, I feel like we should do something where you show people this other side of you, because there was a whole other side of me before the band life where I was writing poetry and going to open mics and, you know, having that stripped down acoustic organic kind of vibe. Yeah. And now people were only seeing me in front of this big band on a big stage, jumping up and down, playing banjo music, right? So Andre was like, but this whole side of you still exists, and it kind of is the beginning of your artistry kind of thing. So like, it would be cool if people got to know that side of you. So we should do something where we could do that, and, you know, it would just be like, I would play the piano and you would sing or read poetry or whatever. And we could call it Mahalia's Corner. And I was like, pardon? We could call it what now? We could call it Saint, other than Saint I got my name in it, because the truth is, as much as being somebody on stage in front of people all the time, I am not a fan of being the center of attention.
Okay.
Right? So no, because being on a stage, as much as it feels like you're exposed, it feels a lot less exposed than if I hear talking to you, just me and you.
Got it.
So like that kind of setup where he on a piano and I singing, and then the people right here 2 feet away from me.
Very intimate.
Exactly. Got me feel like all the spotlights on me, and I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of attention. But I was like, all right, man, all right, let me try and see what happens. So then we were able to, again, Alan Shepard provided us with the stage, the space to give it a shot. And because by then, all the open mics that I was going to get on a stage were done now, like things like Bejute's Poet Slam and Voices and L'Amour Juste and them sort of things were gone by then. And I was like, well, I miss open mics. I'm sure other people miss open mics too. So let me have an open mic as well. So then we tried it, and then we realized people really were hungry for it. So then from there, it was like, all right, this is a thing. Let me go forward. So that's where it came from. So shout out to Andre and shout out to Alan. Because without the two of them, I would have just be still there, you know, no pun intended, in my corner. Not in Mahalia's Corner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it had grown. And you celebrated 10 years?
Yeah, in 2019. 10 years in 2019.
So, oh, wow.
Yeah, man. And the next question people usually ask is, did you see it getting this big when you no, B? I did not.
You had no idea.
No idea. It was just at the time, this idea sounded like a great idea, and it turned out to be a great idea, and we just ran with it and like made whatever adjustments we could make to make it better and a better experience for the patron and the performer, and to showcase other people who were also looking for a space to share their art. And then it just went where it went.
At what moment did you realize that it was getting a little bigger than just a corner?
When people, because it was in Bump and Wine, which was, for people that don't know, which was upstairs at the corner of Caven's Lane by the bridge in town, which is not a very big space. So when people was down the stairs and in the road, trying to hear and see what's going on inside.
Yeah, you literally had to bump and whine to get in and outside.
Right. That's right. Or you had to park yourself and don't move a muscle because when you get your seat gone or something, because it was so overflowing with people that wanted to be at the event. that it didn't make sense trying to hold it at Bump and Way anymore. So we definitely had to move. And then it actually created a situation where we could be creative with what we did with it. And we actually started doing like a tour, a corner tour,
Right.
where the shows were in different venues over the course of the season. That's what started the seasons, because we actually were doing every week. And I think we did every week for maybe almost 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And then we decided we can do seasons.
And that every week thing don't be easy though.
It really isn't.
Because you don't really get to recover.
It really isn't. It really isn't. It was actually starting to take a toll on us as well. And so we decided, you know, what doesn't make any sense. Let me do a period of time and then give people a break and then come back.
So you do it in seasons.
Exactly. So then that's how we ended up going to places like Nauru and then Fusion Restaurant when it was in Bay Street.
Bay Street, yeah.
Yeah, and then we even went to like Bagatelle and all these different places. And it became a way to also introduce people to these places, people that may not have ever been there. So it was mutually beneficial for us and the venues and the artists. And so it was just a very interesting time to get to know us and get to know Barbados and get to know new artists. And the knowing new artists thing was the most important part. Like being able to introduce people to artists that they would not have otherwise been able to see because they ain't got no way to perform. Nobody know them, so nobody ain't like, come and perform here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were that person. We were that event that was like, all right, come and perform here and let people see you.
So when you're coming out with your performances and you're putting it together, what is one thing that you would like people to walk away with when they attend Mahalia's Corner?
I think the thing that I want people to leave with is the saying that Barbados is full of talent is not just words. It is very real. And the talent is of a high standard. So when you come to Mahalia's Corner, even if it's not a musical guest or even if it's not 2 Mile Hill, when people step up in the open mic, you're going to see what's going on because we in Barbados. And the people that step out the crowd, somebody that just decide, let me come and see the show and then get the spirit and decide, I can in the open mic. And then they step out on the stage and it's Chian or somebody, you know what I mean? And then you're blown away and you're like, oh my gosh. And that is what I want people to understand all the time. And especially sometimes when you have events and we got artists being flown in to perform and you're seeing these international artists all the time, international artists. Yes, Bajans perform, so don't come for me. I know businesses perform too at the events, but when you get artists coming in, and sometimes it feels like you're seeing the same show all the time because you're seeing the same artists all the time.
Yeah.
And they're the same material. So Mahalia's Corner for me is a way to show people there is a lot more happening. And a lot of different types of artists, a lot of new artists, a lot of old artists that you could see in a different way. And I think that's the gem for me of Mahalia's Corner. For when people come, that they leave with that in their minds.
Sweet. I gotta say congratulations again. You're a new mom.
Yes, thank you.
And I want to know how that journey have been so far.
From finding out that I was pregnant to now, it has really been a roller coaster. And a lot of it has been terrible, actually, like physically harrowing. The pregnancy was...
Which is different to what I usually see.
Yeah,
I
think...
a lot of faces, everybody happy.
glowing and things,
this pregnancy glow.
Yeah, man. But the truth is a lot of women have very challenging pregnancies. And sometimes even those women only show you their glowing moments. Right. And I think again that goes back to this thing that we were talking about sharing deeper things, being more vulnerable with each other. And I do see that changing now too, but I was one of the people that I was like, you can let one know what's going on here because this is
I was one to you just keep it real.
Yeah, man, you gotta keep it real. Life too short to be pretending all the time, and it's exhausting. I just want to know if people don't be exhausted pretending. You know what I mean?
True.
So I strive to be as real as I can with people. And the pregnancy was hard. So I wanted to share that, all the moments, even the good moments, because I had good moments too. But I wanted to let people know what it's really like, because I also was only seeing certain things about being pregnant and what it's be like. And, this little morning sickness here. And I also blame TV too, because you see on TV, women get pregnant and just vomit twice. them is maybe get a dizzy spell, and then them is get a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's so many things that happen from day to day and week to week that are so unexpected and sometimes very, very challenging.
Yeah.
But we here now. Baby is born and healthy and growing, and now it is like it's still challenging, but when people say, it's worth it, that's also not just words. That is the truth. Like, it felt like it was really worth it to go through everything that I went through.
Wow. And do you still feel some sense of creativity while having those moments or going through what you're going through now?
Well, now I could say I am back in a creative place, but there was a period of time where I could not focus on anything creative at all. Like, there wasn't any space in my mind, in my brain, in my body for creativity. It just felt like, let me survive today. Let me get through the day and sleep and tackle tomorrow and see what happening tomorrow, because it's just like all encompassing. It was for me. That was my personal experience. I wasn't able to be creative at all for a period of time.
And because creativity is your bread and butter, you had any fear that it may suffer a little bit?
It did suffer a little bit, not too much, because again, I have a very good team and support system and network. Made some very good relationships over the years, so I could pull on those. But I was not able to work. Like, you see people like Beyonce and other people like on the stage performing through the pregnancy and this and that and third. And I had that vision for myself. Like, I was just like, I can be at dance class, I can be on the stage and do whatever I gotta do until I physically can. Yeah. But I ended up physically not being able to from the beginning.
So the reality was completely different.
There you go. So I really was incapacitated, and it caused me not to be able to work, which, it takes a toll on me mentally as the front person of a band, because the band relies on me being able to work.
Yeah.
So there were times when I wasn't able to do gigs that we had booked and stuff. And even though we were able to, like I said, count on some people, some very important friends in the business to help out with that, it still had me feeling a sort of way, you know what I mean? Like, not being able to be out there and do what I want, what I would like to have been doing at the time.
So you felt a little bit of pressure and guilt for the others because you felt you were holding them back?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Definitely. Not through anything that they have done or said or anything, because, them was just like, no, we got you or whatever. But I, personally, I felt like, cha boy.
What tools have you learned so far in your journey balancing personal life, being a wife, a mother, and work?
I guess maybe just to remember that you are all those things. So I am all those things, which means that you gotta be one thing and then be the other thing and then be the other thing, even though you're all the things, right? So try your best not to let the work overpower the home life or whatever the case is. For me, it's been important that my partner has the understanding of that as well. That my job is what it is, and it requires me to do certain things. And because, being a performer, sometimes it can be hard on a partner.
Right. I can imagine that.
And everyone doesn't have a partner who is as supportive as my partner. So I have had that support. So that's something that you could do. If you're a performer and you're looking for a partner, just make sure that they understand what you do. Because that's a fundamental thing that needs to be understood for the relationship to succeed. Right? For sure. Yeah. So that's one. Definitely find a partner who understands and is supportive. And when you can step away from the stress of thinking about work, make the most of that. Because I am somebody who, for a period of time, even when I was away from work, when I had a moment, which you don't get a lot of, which is even why it's more important, when you could step away from work and just be in your home life or your whatever else life, make the most of it and put down work and come back to it. Because as creatives, sometimes we feel like, oh, my job, creativity is everywhere, and my job is everywhere. Like, as opposed to somebody who comes home from an office and can say, "Let me put down my briefcase." As a creative, you also have to put down your briefcase. You can't just be like work all the time. You at the dinner table and all these things. I got this gig tomorrow, and I got this thing to plan. Like, you do need moments where you put that down, and it will save your sanity. Trust me. So that's something that I definitely try my best to do now.
So you got to stay present where you are in that moment.
Be present and be intentional about where you are. I've noticed that recently I've been telling myself it this way: give things the respect they deserve, right? When you at work, be at work, give work the respect it deserves. If you at home and you with your family, give them the respect they deserve.
Got it. That's big. So is this something that you had, it was a trial and error to get to this point? Because I could only imagine in the beginning, in your relationship, the job is new, the relationship is new. Can you tell me, like, is it something that you had to learn during that process?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely trial and error for me. Don't mind that there would have been people and things and books and whatever where that was telling me these things all the time, from the start. But at certain points in my life, it didn't feel possible.
Right.
And I think that was the first step, was to convince myself or admit to myself, it is possible. It is possible. And the world is not going to end. When you step away from the band can still be there when you go back. It ain't going to like disintegrate. When you go to work, when you go home can be there. Like, these things don't need to be intermingled and intermixed. And the first step for me was admitting to myself and convincing myself that was the case, right? But it took me a while because, like, a little strong-headed, and sometimes you just feel right?
Yeah.
Until you realize that you're actually in know. And you just realize that you didn't know when you know.
Yeah, so
right?
you got to go through it, feel it, experience it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this is your story, but there are some performers or artists who would suffer in a sense where, or their partner would suffer where the partner often feels overshadowed or they feel secondary, because when you or the artist is in the spotlight, it then feels like the partner then has to drift by. What's your advice on how to navigate around that and around those emotions?
I would say just, I didn't even know how to, I didn't know what I would say. I didn't know what I would say, because I feel like I understand where you're coming from. But I think if you have decided to be somebody's partner, then your responsibility is to deal with your emotions. Right? And
that's part of understanding.
As part of understanding exactly
what you're getting into.
Right. You gotta be understanding to the point where you don't feel insecure that way. Right? To the person now that is in the spotlight, your responsibility is to reassure your partner. Because as much as somebody could see what's going on and in their own mind be as understanding as it could be, you are still a partnership, which means that communication gotta happen, which means that you need to reassure them and make them feel the way they should feel.
Yeah. I think that is important, because some people miss that. Some people would, meet a person while they're doing the artistry, and they get involved not knowing that what they're in for. It feels like they understand because they're seeing it from the outside, but until they get in, and then they realize, well, shoot, what's this?
Exactly.
So I think it's important for both parties to know exactly, like, this is it from the jump.
Yeah, and definitely talk to one another, communicate. I make a whole song about talking to people because it's important.
Exactly.
You gotta talk to one another, you gotta listen. It's important.
So before I wrap, you mentioned your family, and you mentioned the points about they're not being able to express because of certain reasons and all that. But they raised you. What was it that made you different and allow you to be able to tap into your emotions and be expressive until a point that you can be an artist, because artists go express, and be able to communicate feelings and stuff like that, and even like creating songs? Like, what made you different?
I feel it's just coming up in a multi-generational home. I think I had a perspective that other people didn't have. So I see the real old people, and then the not so old people, and then the young people, and I had a vantage point that allowed me to witness how they interacted and how it affected everybody, and then how it also affected me. I think that being a creative actually put me in a position to dissect that in a way that I could look at it, step back and look at it, and not just be consumed by it or be in it without realizing what's happening. So I don't think it caused me to be able to create. I think my creativity caused me to be able to see it in a different way. Yeah.
I get it. That's hard. So what's next for you?
Life just continuing, man. It's be such a strange question when people ask me that, because again, as a creative, I try to have structure to my life.
I thought you was gonna tell me you're going for baby number 2.
Boy, all right, let me take a moment and be real here for you.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned that, like, that's another thing that Caribbean people like to do, is be like, for any time your belly bigness be, so when you can get the next one, you didn't even get the baby yet, right?
That is why I just told you that, because I know you got a lot of opinion on that.
Yeah, so I don't do that, first of all, right? You don't know what's going on with the person, you don't know. So just chill for that day. But like, in honesty, our plan, mine and Cyrus's, was to have 2 children. That was the plan, right? But the pregnancy being the experience as it was, I know that ain't getting back there though. Like, I don't know if I can willingly possibly put myself through that, because we can't really predict how it's going to be. It could be very different. It could be the same. It could be worse. You know what I mean? And I ain't sure that mentally I am in a place where I could make the decision to do that again. So I am not sure that we're going to have a number 2.
Right.
I do know, and I would admit that people always come and say, you may feel different, or whatever the case is. So I am not completely closed off to being in a different place in the future, but I am not there at the moment. So right now, all the one that want to come and ask me about number 2, I don't think that we're going there.
So I was basically doing a role play to act out, like what to not to do.
Yes. So yes, there's that. But in terms of what's next, I've been working on a lot of music in a solo capacity. I don't like to say solo, because for any time you say you're working on solo music, people say, wait, you left the band? I'm not leaving the band. Not leaving the band. Drama, but I have been, and it started during COVID times when we were all locked away and stuff, and I was working on music for 2 Mile Hill. I was also working on some solo music and some features with some other people as well, trying to collab more. And so that's something that we could look out for in the future.
Nice.
Mahalia's Corner is coming up as well for Christmas. And more Bajanissms. I've been working on 2 Bajanisms books. I ain't gonna tell one of them. Yeah, 2 Bajanisms books that will be coming hopefully in the nearer future. So that's something to look out for.
Nice.
Too. Yeah.
Nice. It's something that I like to do with the people who come on here, because a lot of people believe that they don't have gems or advice or whatever, but there's somebody out there that you're one step ahead. If you had to meet your teenager self, what would you like to tell that little girl?
I feel that I would try to convince her that she is capable. Like, you could do it. You could do it. It feel like you can't do it, but you could do it. So just do it. Just do it. Don't let feeling like you can't do it make you don't even try. That is the thing that I would say, because I was very hesitant with a lot of things, because I used to feel like a fraud. I used to feel like people can find out that I can't get this thing done. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, just do the thing. Just do the thing, and even if it turn out bad, don't worry about it. Just got it again. You gotta be bad before you're good. You can get good eventually, but it's okay to be bad at first.
Right. Okay. Well, Mahalia, thanks for coming through.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's a wrap.